Hello and welcome to Mad Max Live, episode 8. My name is Daniel Tyree. I'm the executive director of the People's Party of Canada. But tonight I am your host. We have another exciting episode ahead of us with Maxim here in studio. Back from his maritime tour. We had to cancel last week, unfortunately. He was still on the road, but he's back here in Ottawa today after a long and successful tour. How are you feeling, Maxim?
Great. I'm very pleased to be with you today. And it's always better when we are together at the same place. But that was fun. 3 weeks on the road. We had time to build our team over there and being sure that actually, as you know, Daniel, you're the executive director. We were not able to have a full slate of candidates in the Maritimes, but next time we will. I find good people that are ready to fight for us, with us, and to be sure that we will have a freer and a more prosperous country.
Yeah, there's still a lot of building to do. We'll get into that a bit more in a moment, but I want to touch on what else we'll be talking about this evening. We'll do a recap of that maritime tour that just concluded yesterday. We'll also touch on some recent news, the announcement of Kenney's resignation as the UCP leader, threats from the Crown to throw Tamara Lich back in jail. We'll talk about inflation, increasing gas prices, and the news of the week. We'll talk about the new WHO pandemic treaty and some of those implications around that. Before we get into that, though, I do want to do some general housekeeping. As a general reminder, Mad Max Live is our bi-weekly PPC live stream where Maxim and I sit down to talk about current events as well as what's going on in the party. We're live streaming across all of our PPC social networks right now, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter, the works. So if you can take a moment to follow on whatever platform you're watching on, or interact with this live stream in any way that you can, a like, a retweet, subscribe, comment, drop a question in the chat. Our producers will be watching throughout the episode, and we'll answer as many questions as we can at the end of the live stream. But most importantly, if you can jump over to those free speech platforms, Rumble and Odyssey, drop us a follow there. We all know our time on the traditional or the traditional social medias, Facebook, YouTube is limited. The censorship is rampant on those platforms. So if you can jump over to Rumble or Odyssey, drop us a follow there. That'll make sure that you can follow our video content, no matter the censorship that's imposed on us. But most importantly, you can head over to our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, sign up for our email list, become a member, make a small donation. Any way that you can help is great for us. And following us on our email list is the best way to stay apprised on what's going on with the party, when Maxim's coming to your area next, any developments organizationally, or just getting his hot takes on what's going on in the media. So with that covered, let's jump into things, Maxim. I want to talk about your maritime tour. You're back. I haven't seen you in 3 weeks.
Yes. First, that was your idea, by the way, for me to be on the road. That was a good idea. I really appreciated that. But, as you know, I cannot travel by plane, by train, or by boat because of Justin Trudeau. And as you know, we are the only country on this planet that does not allow Canadian citizens non-vaccinated to travel. It's it's crazy. It's insane and
unscientific
and all that. But that being said, I was happy because we were able also to stop to a little town in the Maritimes. I was in New Brunswick, PI, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. And actually, I've met a lot of people. We did a big rally in Halifax that went well, but the goal was to restructure our organization. And as you know, I was also with Adrian, our national coordinator, and we work hard to be sure to have good people on our Riding Association, and it's going very well. But what I was the most surprised was the fact that our people that came to our event were people that with different political backgrounds. I've met people that voted in DP before and voted for us for the first time at the last election. I've met people that never vote at the federal level, and they told me, Maxime, for the first time I voted for the PPC. So it's encouraging when you have people coming from different political backgrounds, because we are not people believe that we are attracting only former conservatives. But that's not true. People from different background, Green, and actually in PI, our team over there voted for the Green Party at the provincial level, because as you know, at the provincial level over there, they have a Green opposition, and they were us. And actually, I must admit that freedom unites us, and that's why they look at what we did in the past. We were the only national political party, as you know. We were in Ottawa here to fight for our freedoms, and people appreciate that, and they're with us for that. They're with us for the way that we are doing politics. They can see that these 5 establishment political parties are all the same on the main issues, and they don't want to have any discussion on abortion, for example, on mass immigration. So we are doing these debates, and I think it is important for us, for our country. So that was a success. And now what I'm trying to do, I know that you're working on another tour for me. I'll be in Quebec with our Quebec Lieutenant, Daniel Brisson. We'll do a tour in Quebec in the beginning of June. So that would be fun. And after that, I'll be in Ontario. I'll try to do Quebec, Ontario. And I hope that I'll be able to go out west during the summertime.
Yeah. We'll do some big events leading up to Canada Day. But I'm curious, Maxim, what was the highlight of the tour for you? There's a big 3-week tour, 3 different provinces. What was your highlight?
Yeah, I believe it was in Halifax. We did our biggest rally over there, and in when I'm doing rallies, as you know, I'm answering
Yeah.
questions, and I always add good questions. And people, what I like, people wanted to know a little bit more about the PPC, and I told them, it's not about Maxime Bernier, it's about you, and we need you. As you know, the mainstream media is canceling us, the national mainstream media. So our way to grow our support is with our people, and that's what I told them. And the fact that when I was meeting people, I was surprised that they knew our platform.
Yeah.
They're there for us. They're with us for the right reason, and they're ready to fight. And when I told them, we had 840,000 votes at the last election, and if each one of these voters find 10 more supporters, and by the way, they have 3 years to do that,
Yeah.
so they can do it. We'll be at 8 million votes. We'll be at 20%. And and when I was saying that, people said, Maxime, I'll do it. I have 3 years. I'll do it. I know my family, because it's important. It's the only way for us, plus social media, to be able to grow and our message to be out there. So I appreciate that the people were coming to our event knowing that the party, knowing our platform, and they just wanted to know a little bit more details and ready to help us to build this party and doing that common sense revolution all across the country.
Yeah, that's great. So initially, when we were planning this tour, we wanted to focus on recruiting candidates to get us ready for the election as soon as possible. But while we were planning it, the whole NDP Liberal coalition agreement started coming up. So we knew we had a bit more time.
Yeah.
We decided to focus on the organization. So you were out there participating in AGMs, annual general meetings for a lot of our riding associations. Write it down to the grassroots level,
Oh, yeah.
recruiting the volunteers to be on these boards.
And raising money for them also.
And-
If you want to have a riding association, a local riding association that will be efficient, they need to have money. They need to have money to do advertising, and I was helping them to raise money and to be ready. And with Adrienne, we had a discussion about what is the role of a riding association. We need people that will be there, and our goal is for them to be active in their community and being part of their community. Speaking about the PPC, I told them, don't be afraid to speak about your value. Stand up, speak out about what you believe, and more people will come step by step. And so that was one of our goals, being able to raise money for these associations, having more people on the board of these associations. And I believe that we achieved that.
Yeah, that's great to see. I don't see a lot of leaders going right down to the grassroots level like that to get those to get people involved like that.
Answering the real questions also.
Yeah. And then I hear the fundraising was quite lucrative for associations. Thousands of dollars raised in some of these smaller.
And also I must admit that our logo and our merchandise were very popular.
Yeah.
And that's fun because I did rally, and you were able, if you look at the photos that we put on social media, you can see that there's a PPC color, purple everywhere. So and we are, if you look at it, when you see a rally from the conservative or the liberals, people don't have,
No, I've
their
never
color.
seen someone wearing
No, they
political
don't.
party merchandise.
Yeah,
other than
and our
PPC.
people they're proud of it. And that's great. That's fun.
No, purple's a nice color. It's a good one to wear.
Backed by a great philosophy, believing in people with our 4 principles. I believe that people appreciate that.
Yeah. So to be honest, it was a bit absurd to be on a political party leader road tripping around 3 provinces over 3 weeks, still ignored by the national media.
Yeah.
What were your experiences with local media though across the 3 provinces?
Yeah. So my personal goal was not to have 100 of people over there. We are not in an election campaign. I'm not in a leadership, of a political party. My goal was to meet small groups of people, having time to be with them, answer their questions. But also the other goal was to be able to have interviews with local mainstream media. And I did, I believe, an interview with the Cape Breton Post That was a good one. Actually, I was an hour with the journalist, and he was very fair. Also, I did a radio interview in Halifax, so it's a little bit less difficult to have more visibility with the traditional mainstream local media than it is with the national mainstream media. So I'm happy with that. Next time we'll try to do more local media, but at least I'm ready. When I'm there, I believe that these journalists appreciated that I was answering the questions.
Mm.
And for us, there's no uh, taboo subject, and I'm able to answer all the questions, and they appreciate that, because usually you'll have a politician and he will answer a question without answering the question.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm not like that. Our party is not like that. So it was a good opportunity to be in these local mainstream media, because, as you know, we are on social media right now, and we are using social media, but also we need to be on the traditional media.
Yeah, we got to break out of those echo chambers.
Yeah.
And then I understand while you were out in Halifax, you ended up having competing events with Mr. Poiliev,
Oh,
who
yeah.
scheduled some events in Halifax after you did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Pierre did an event over there, Poiliev, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We did our event at 8 o'clock at night. And I must admit that he had a lot of people, maybe about 250, but it was a speech, a very short speech, 21 minutes. And he didn't answer any questions. And he didn't do any interviews with journalists also. But on our side, I did a Saturday night at 8 o'clock p.m., and we had 100 people. That was great. And yes, I delivered a speech for 40 minutes, but what I was answering questions for about 45 minutes. So that was fun. We had people, and if you look at it, I had in my room, in our people that were with me at that event at 8 o'clock, they were also with Poiliev, and I told them, tell me, what do you think? Are you with the Poiliev and the Conservative, or with us?
PP or PPC?
Yeah, yeah, PP or PPC. And they told Maxime, you're real, you're honest, and you were with us since the beginning of that pandemic. And Pierre Poiliev were nowhere to be seen.
Mhm.
So I'm with you. I'm staying with you. I was just curious to go and listen to him, and I didn't learn anything new. So that's great. We're gonna build on our on our strength, and our strength is our people. So that's great.
Yeah, it's the free market of ideas right there at
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
On that note, I do want to kind of shift focus. But you've been road tripping around for 3 weeks now. I imagine you've filled up the tank a few times.
Oh,
How are the gas prices out east?
oh my God, yeah, it's expensive. Like it is the same for Canadians. And as you know, actually, Pierre Poiliev was speaking about abolishing the carbon tax, but what he didn't say, it's the Conservative Party of Canada is ready to impose more regulations on businesses, and when you impose regulations, you have an increase in prices.
Yeah, I think
So-
he would be the third Conservative Party leader in a row to say that he's going to abolish the carbon
Oh, yeah,
tax.
yeah.
But
Yeah, but what we must know is the Conservative Party of Canada will do everything to achieve the Paris Accord, to achieve the goals in the Paris Accord. And that's why they have to do something, and they will do something for climate change. So, yes, they won't impose a carbon tax if we believe them, but they will impose more regulation. And businesses will transfer that cost to consumers, and we will pay for it.
Mm.
For us, it's simple like that. We won't be part of the Paris Accord. So we won't have to impose a carbon tax. We won't impose more regulation. That's it. And that's part of our platform. And Daniel, you know it. I said that in the election in 2019, the last election also, and I will repeat it at the next election. So if you don't want a carbon tax, if you want to if you want to be sure that the price of gas will be lower, that's having an impact, a direct impact. And actually, a third of the cost of the gas right now at the pump is taxes from different levels
Mhm.
of governments, municipal, provincial, federal. And at the federal level, we can do something. We can just not impose that carbon tax and no regulation. And that's a huge difference. We are the only national political party that won't impose and won't sign the Paris Accord.
Yeah.
And if it's so important for your provincial government, if you're in Alberta or in Quebec, or your provincial government can do that, but we won't do anything for climate change. As you know, we have a strong platform from the environment, and our goal is to do concrete actions for the environment.
Yeah. And Pierre has been kind of dancing around this issue as well. He has been pretty clear that he wants to abolish the carbon tax, just like Aaron O'Toole was,
Yeah.
just like Andrew Scheer was.
Yeah.
But when asked what his plan would be, he's
Just wait and see.
just wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see. He will have a plan just before the election, after doing a lot of polling and focus group and survey. That's the way they're doing politics. That's why Poiliev is speaking about freedom right now, because it's more popular. It's because you and me and all freedom fighters that were with us in the beginning of that pandemic 2 years ago, and we built together a momentum. And it was not popular a year ago to speak about
No,
freedom.
we were all conspiracy theorists.
Absolutely.
Until we were proven right.
I remember the first rally that I did in Montreal. We were 100 people. That was it. The last one, 45,000 people were there.
Yeah.
But and we built that momentum. And it's not because that I didn't speak about freedom because it was popular. No, it was not popular. And it's not because something or an idea is popular that idea is just and true.
Yeah.
We are speaking about ideas that we believe in and in line with our principles. And if it's not popular for us, it's a challenge. We know that the more we speak about it openly with passion and conviction, the more support we'll have. And the best example is that freedom and our work that we did against COVID hysteria and all these mandate. Now it's popular.
Yeah.
So Poiliev is speaking about it because they did a couple of survey and polling, and they can speak about that. So I'm telling Canadians, you must judge a politician by his or her actions. Where were Poiliev when we needed an opposition in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Nowhere to be seen. And that was the time to be there. No. And we were the only real opposition, as you know. So yes, now he's speaking about more freedom and no carbon tax, but we have to wait for the details.
Yeah.
and we'll see. But
fool me once, fool me twice. Let's see what happens. As well, announced this week by the Bank of Canada, another update on the inflation rate, something we talk about on every show, I think. It's gone up a little bit more, a new record level, 6.8%, I believe. And they continue to suggest that it's being caused by international forces, by the war in Ukraine. Is this the whole story behind inflation?
No. We all know, Daniel, that it is not the case. Inflation is always because of a monetary policy. And we have that inflation because we had huge deficit in Canada, but not only in Canada, also in US, in Europe, because of that pandemic, when these authoritarian governments, Canada, US, and other countries decided to shut down their economy and all these curfew, stay-at-home orders, and they decided to do that. And they said to Canadians, we will give you money to stay at home. And that's why we had that huge deficit of $450 billion. Same thing in US, same thing in Europe. But Justin Trudeau did not increase our taxes. What he did, he asked the Bank of Canada. So he used the ATM machine, the Bank of Canada, and the Bank of Canada printed money out of thin air. And when you have more money chasing fewer goods, you have inflation. And that's what we have here in Canada, in US, in Europe. And the only way to fight inflation is to be able to balance the budget, because like that, the Bank of Canada won't print money because out of thin air, because we won't have any deficit anymore. But the conservative are speaking about that. Yes, we will balance the budget, like O'Toole said at the last election. I'll balance the budget in 5 years, but he was asking for a mandate of 4 years. So that means that the budget will balance itself, like Trudeau. So they're not serious about that because they don't want to speak about the how. What will they do to balance the budget? Because if you do that, you cannot, buy votes with money.
Yeah.
We are saying the same thing, that we can save a lot of money when we can balance the budget without increasing taxes to Canadians.
But you have to cut.
You have to cut.
And that's scary. That's hard to
Oh,
sell the voters.
Yeah, but I believe that people understand that, foreign aid, giving money to the UN, actually $1 billion to the UN.
Yeah.
We won't do that. Giving money to CBC, we won't do that. Another $1 billion there. So you can cut, you can balance the budget. And at the same time also, you must say to the Bank of Canada, to these bureaucrats, that they must have a new inflation target.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, the Bank of Canada has an inflation target of 2% every year, and now it's 6.8%. So we must tell them, you need to have an inflation target of 0%.
Yeah.
So Poiliev said, I will fire the governor of the Bank of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he will have another government with another
thing.
with the same goal for the inflation target. No, the solution is to tell them 0% inflation target. Like that, everybody will keep their purchasing power, and we won't be poor now with that inflation tax.
Mm-hmm.
If your salary won't increase by 6.8%, you will be poor this year. Actually, my salary won't increase by 6.8% like a lot of Canadians. So we will all be poor. And that inflation tax is a regressive tax because it's hurting most the middle class and the poor. And if you don't have...
it benefits the rich.
Yeah. If you have asset and real estate, that will go up. You're okay. But if you don't have that, you will have to pay that tax like the majority of Canadians. So we must stop that and tell the truth to Canadians. And that's what we are doing.
Yeah, excellent. On that note, I do want to shift focus. Before we get into that, I do want to remind you to interact with this video in any way that you can. Drop a like, a retweet, a comment, regardless of what platform you're on. If you can just interact with this video, it helps us. It helps out the algorithm. It helps get more eyeballs on this live stream, which is what we need here at the PPC.
Yeah.
As well, if you can navigate over to those free speech platforms, Rumble and Odyssey, drop us a follow there. It's not enough to follow us on YouTube and Facebook. We can't trust these mainstream social media platforms. We know our time there is limited. It's only a matter of time before the censorship hammer comes down on us and we're kicked off those platforms. So if you can move over to Rumble, Odyssey, those platforms committed to free speech, that will ensure that you're able to keep following our video content and these great live streams. But the best thing that you can do is navigate over to our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. Check out our platform, become a member, sign up for the email list. Make a small donation if you can afford it. They're tax deductible, 75% tax deductible under $400. So if you can make a small donation, the government will cover most of it. But really, sign up for that email list. That's the best way to stay informed on what's going on at the party, when Maxim's coming to your area next, and so on. So on that note, I do want to jump into our next topic, which is the resignation of Jason Kenney. Last night, the results for the United Conservative Party, the Conservative Party out in Alberta, their leadership review results came in. Kenney did pass the review with 51.4% of the vote. According to the UCP's constitution, all that was required was 50% plus one. But typically in leadership reviews, it's expected that you get a much, much higher threshold, 75%, 80, that sort of stuff to show a strong united party. Last year when we did the leadership review, got 96%. So Kenney did the admirable thing, and he decided to step down as leader of the UCP, which will trigger a leadership race within the party. There's some former Wild Rose leaders already stepping forward. Brian Jean, Danielle Smith. What do you think of this news, Maxim? You were a colleague with Jason Kenney in the Harper cabinet.
Yeah, but the Jason Kenney the Jason Kenney was working with me and was a minister at the same time was not the same Jason Kenney that the same Jason Kenney was the premier of Alberta. What he did during his term against our freedoms and our rights, was a disaster. And I'm not sad about his decision. Like you said, it was the best decision for the province. And I hope that every premier in Canada who imposed on us these draconian measures must do the same thing. They must resign. Shame on them. And I can tell you, something will happen in this country. People will realize. I believe that the court will. There's a lot of cases in from the court because of the COVID-19 draconian measures that were imposed by these governments. And I believe that it will go up to the Supreme Court. And I hope that the Supreme Court will come with the right conclusion, saying that all that was illegal and unconstitutional. We must remember these politicians who did that to us. It's a shame. And Kenney did the right decision. Now we'll see what will happen at the provincial level. As you just said, the leadership contest will start early. I believe that the election in Alberta is in a year.
It's a year from now.
Yeah. So, and I hope that they will have somebody that will fight for Albertans, for their rights and their freedoms. But Kenney did the right thing, and what happened to him. It's 100% about what he did and the bad policies that he imposed on the Albertans.
Yeah.
And he must be responsible of that.
I mean, he was trying to spin his tenure as a positive. He accomplished 90% of his platform, stuff like this. It's easy to forget the kind of terrible things that happened over the last 2 years, but we really can't forget, as you said, locking down or arresting pastors.
Oh yeah,
right?
He was the worst in our country.
Yeah.
I don't know how many pastors were in jail.
Two notable ones
were in jail because they just want to open their doors and celebrate their faith. That made international news.
Yeah, I'll never forget the wall of fences around Pastor Coates.
I was there when I was before the election. I was there. I saw that.
Or them arresting Artur Pawlowski in the street like he's some animal,
like a terrorist.
Yeah.
It's and that happened in our country, in Alberta.
Yeah.
And but also when I was in New Brunswick and also in Halifax, I've met people who lost their jobs because of their personal medical decision. And here in Canada, I'll tell you, just a lady came to me. She was working for the federal government at home alone with her computer.
Yeah.
And because she decided not to have the 2 shots, they said, "You're too dangerous, so you don't have your job anymore."
Yeah.
She was working from her computer and without any relation or with their co-workers. That was insane. I cannot.
It's just punitive. It's coercive.
Yeah. And Trudeau did that because I believe that he knew that all these freedom fighters won't vote for him or didn't vote for him. So for him, the political cost was 0. And it was just to punish us.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a big show during the election. I can't believe some of these mandates, especially with the federal workers and the federal travel, are still in
and
place.
Also Canadian forces.
Yeah.
The same mandate was for people in our Canadian forces. If they decided not to have the 2 shots, they lost their job.
Yeah. It's terrible to see. As well, in today's news, on a slightly different topic, not totally disconnected though, Tamara Lich, one of the Freedom Convoy organizers, today it's coming to light that the Crown is looking to throw her back in jail. Part of her bail conditions were to not be engaged in any Freedom Convoy related activism. Amongst other things, she's still barred from social media and all these other ridiculous things. But Lich is set to receive an award at an event in Toronto in June, hosted by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, our friends out of Alberta. I believe that you'll be attending this event.
Yeah.
And the Crown lawyers are arguing that this is some, I guess, Freedom Convoy related activism receiving an award, and they want to put her back in jail. What do you think of this news, Maxim?
But then you think about that. That lady, Tamara, she will receive an award because she fought and she's still fighting for our freedoms.
And for civil rights.
And civil rights in a free and democratic country.
Yes.
And in that free and democratic country, the government is telling her you cannot receive an award because you promote the values of a free and democratic country.
It's almost satire.
Yeah, no. It's sad. I don't have the words to explain that. It's not logical. And she was, don't forget, 4 weeks in jail for nothing. And
for embarrassing Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, but she said she was one of the leaders of that Freedom Convoy, and good for her. And actually, I hope that she will be there this June 16 in Toronto. I'll be there also. I want to see her another time. I saw her when I was here in Ottawa, and I want to congratulate her. I want to shake her hands. And for me, she did a lot for our country. And you have the government that is saying to her, you will go back in jail if you go to that gala in Toronto to receive your award, Freedom Award. That's Trudeau.
It's beyond words.
That's Trudeau. So we are 100% with her. I know that she has good lawyers working for the Justice Center. So we'll see, but it's something that we must follow. And these lawyers are stupid.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
On that note, I do want to shift over to our final and probably our most exciting topic of the day, the new WHO pandemic treaty. We've been getting so many questions about this over the last week. A lot of concern floating out around our kind of ecosystem on social media about this. Before we get in that, I do want to remind everyone to engage with this live stream in any way that you can, regardless of which social media that you're on. If you can drop a comment, a like, a retweet, a share, a subscribe, regardless of which platform you're on, if you can interact with this video, it does help get more eyeballs on this. As well, if you can move over to those free speech platforms, Rumble and Odyssey, drop us a follow over there. It's not good enough to follow us on YouTube. It's not good enough to just follow us on Facebook. We can't trust these mainstream social media platforms. They're known for their censorship. Our days are numbered on there, but if you can follow us over at Rumble or Odyssey, it'll guarantee that you're able to follow our video content going into the future. But the best thing that you can do is head over to our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, sign up for our email list. That's the best way that you can stay apprised on what's going on in the party. You'll get weekly updates from us. You'll get emails if Maxim's coming to your area and all that jazz. When you're on our website, if you could go check out our platform as well, we got a full list of policies, ideas on different topics, unlike some leadership contenders who just have a few buzzwords, a few slogans. Check out our platform, become a member, make a small donation, even if it's just $5, $10. Anything under $400 gets a 75% tax deduction from the government. So even a small donation helps a lot, and the government will subsidize the majority of it. But with that being said, I do want to jump over to that last topic. I need my notes here because this one's an interesting one. the kind of hot topic of this week is the new WHO pandemic treaty. This was trending on social media today. Hashtag stop the treaty. I completely agree with that. But before we get into the nitty gritty of this, I do want to clear up some confusion because there is a lot of it kind of floating out there in the ecosystem. A lot of people seem to be under the impression that next week this new pandemic treaty will be coming into force. That's not exactly the case. The new pandemic treaty is still being negotiated and won't come into force until 2024, 2 years from now. What is being negotiated next week, or finalized next week rather, is new amendments to the international health regulations. These were imposed by the WHO shortly after its founding back in 2005, subsequent to the SARS outbreak in 2002, 2003. These new regulations, are not completely disconnected from the new pandemic treaty. Both will serve to expand the WHO's powers, allowing them to determine what is and what isn't a pandemic, and how governments respond to these. New powers include, as I just said, giving the Director General the authority to declare when a pandemic emergency is occurring, giving the authority to determine what steps a country should take in its pandemic response, and giving the WHO the ability to mobilize capital in the event of a pandemic, amongst many other things.
Yeah.
It's a kind of long and boring document that I was going through today, but scary. We don't need to expand these globalist institutions' power any more than they already are. So the World Health Assembly will be meeting throughout next week, the 22nd to the 28th, in member states, which includes most of the world, including Canada. 194 countries out of the 196 around the world will be immediately beholden to these new regulations. So, Maxim, I know you've been looking into this. What do you think of these new
I look at it like you. And first, it's important to say to everybody, like you just said, that it is not the new pandemic treaty. What they will vote on amendments next week. And yes, I'm not in favor of that. We are not. But I want to be clear with Canadians. We are a sovereign country. And the World Health Organization or the UN cannot impose on us their vision or their regulation. We can sign that treaty, and I believe that Trudeau and Jack Mead will sign that. We have a socialist government,
a globalist
and socialist government.
Yeah.
That believes in the same vision of these non-elected bureaucrats in these organizations. So what we are doing at the PPC is always to promote the sovereignty of our country and putting our country first. So for that treaty, that negotiation, it will happen. But what is important to tell Canadians is, like Trump a little bit did in the US, and not with the Paris Accord. As you know, before Trump, Obama agreed with everything in the Paris Accord. Trump was elected, and he said, "No, I don't want to do anything about it, and I won't be part of the Paris Accord." And he had the right as a sovereign country to do that. But after Trump, the Biden said, no, I like the Paris Accord, and I'll do everything to follow the Paris Accord. That's the same thing with that. We can do the most important. We must elect politicians who believe in Canadian sovereignty and putting our country first. So, right now, the World Health Organization is not imposing on countries a vaccine passport. Right now, they're not imposing that. But we have a government here, Trudeau here, that is still imposing a vaccine passport for Canadian travelers who decided not to have the 2 shots. So Trudeau is worse than the World Health Organization, is imposing more draconian and restrictive measures to us. So that's coming from Trudeau. That's coming from our government. So they can negotiate everything. They can sign all these treaties, but people must know that we won't be part of that. We will always do what is good for this country and what is good for Canadians. So it's a bad idea. to give more power to the World Health Organization. We don't agree with that. But also, if you elect politicians who are putting our country first, we can just ignore all that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of extreme takes say like this is the end. We've signed away your sovereignty. This is the last nail in the coffin. But it's not exactly like
Yeah.
that. It's about having politicians with the fortitude to stand up to it. As you said on Twitter, it's not like the WHO has a police force or an army.
Yeah.
It's not like they can come in and force these
No, they
these
cannot.
regulations or recommendations upon you.
But it's important. That being said, we don't agree with what they're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just not the end.
Yeah.
They're still saving. We can still save this. We can still turn this around.
Absolutely.
We just need someone with the balls, with the fortitude to stand up to these globalist institutions and tell them that no, we're going to do what's in the best interest of Canadians, not what's in the best interest of the WHO.
That's it.
That's exactly it. But as well, we still do as well have the pandemic treaty on the horizon. It's not immediately coming into force like some people are saying.
Yeah.
But it is not so far off. 2024 is not too far away. Do you have any concerns about that new pandemic
I
treaty?
believe with all these international organizations and non-elected bureaucrats, what they want it's more power and being able to promote their policies and try to be sure to that most government will take it and change that and put that in their own legislation. So what will happen, I believe, so with that new pandemic treaty in 2024, that will be more power to the World Health Organization, because as you know, their vision is a global supranational government. That's their goal, that's their end goal. So that's why they will try to have more power. But if you're a sovereign state, you can decide to not sign that, not be part of that. But the more countries they will be able to influence, the better it will be for them. So I know and I see their end goal. So that's why we believe that Canada must always be independent and not having any discussion in these pandemic. We have expert here in Canada. We can do that. We can solve the challenges that we will have in the future here in Canada.
No, and it's just ridiculous to have a sort of one size fits all
Yeah.
solution for the entire world.
Yeah,
different
we
countries.
believe in decentralization.
Yeah.
So decentralization and more competition. So if every country is doing the same thing, you don't have competition.
Yeah.
You need to be
We
able
don't even
to
have federal healthcare standards
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
country, right?
yeah.
We have different provinces
Yeah.
trying different
And-
things to see what works, and now we're going to do it global.
global. Yeah. You have a point there. Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if you were prime minister right now, leading up to the pandemic treaty or with these new regulations, what would you do differently?
I will say to our official and bureaucrats, don't participate in that. Don't participate in these negotiations. That's it.
Yeah. And I know you've spoken about withdrawing from the United Nations in the past. Would you do the same for the World Health Organization?
Absolutely. And there is a cost for us in Canada
Oh, yeah.
when you send bureaucrats over there, and these negotiations will take time.
Yeah. We also send millions of dollars to the WHO for their
absolutely.
operation.
$1 billion to the UN, and it's part of the UN. That organization is under the UN. So we're gonna say to our minister and our bureaucrats, I don't want you to be over there and to do any negotiation. So that's it. We are saying no to that, no to the UN. And if the UN is doing something that is in line with our values, we may look to work with them, but I'll be surprised.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's a completely bizarre that these new regulations they're trying to pit countries against each other,
Yeah.
tattletale on each other if they're not.
Yeah,
It's really, really strange and bizarre. But it's not the end. I mean, I can't see them not coming into force with pressure from the Biden administration, with globalist governments in power across the world.
But I believe it's important for Canadians to know what will be the position of the establishment political parties in Canada. Are they in agreement with all that? So that will be an important question to ask to the Conservatives, the Liberals, the NDP.
Yeah.
For us, it's clear we are saying no to that.
Yeah. It's obvious when it comes to the Liberals and the NDP.
I
but
think
you
I
can't
was. I
exclude-
think I was right, Danielle, when I said at the first debate in 2019 that I did. I
Yeah.
wasn't able to do the second debate for the second campaign for us in 2021. But I said about a question about that all these leaders were globalists,
Yeah.
and I was right at that time, and I'm still right. If you believe in the sovereignty of our country and you're not globalist, you must be with us.
Yeah, there's only one option, because people often forget they think that the Conservatives might be a different option on this, but they're the ones that brought kind of a lot of these globalist ideas into the country.
Absolutely.
They're the ones that signed on to the
UN agenda.
Yeah, exactly. The SDSGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 2030. This was brought into force by the Harper government. They're not clean on this issue
No.
either, and I would be curious to hear what some of the other leadership contestants have to say about these new the new treaty coming out of the WHO, these new regulations coming out of the WHO. I know Leslyn Lewis has been ardently against it.
Yeah, and good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. And don't forget also, she's a lawyer, international lawyer. So she had a doctorate.
Yeah.
So and she knows what she's speaking. When she's speaking about that, she's very competent, and I agree 100% with her. But she's the only candidate that who is speaking like that.
Yeah. So props to Leslyn Lewis. She's been ringing the alarm bells on this for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see where the others stand. So on that note, I think it's a good place to start wrapping things up. But we'll get to some of your questions. So if you have a question for Maxime, drop it in chat. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. We have our producers monitoring the chats. Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, whatever it is, we'll see the question, and we'll try and get to as many questions as possible. Before we get that, and to give you a bit of time to get some questions in the chat, I do want to remind everyone to follow
to be
us
a member.
Yeah, exactly. My normal script, to follow us on social media, regardless of where you're watching. Jump onto another social media. Follow us there as well, especially those pro-free speech channels, Rumble and Odyssey. Our days are numbered on the traditional channels. The censorship bat will hit us eventually. So if you want to stay connected to us and see our video content, drop us a follow on Rumble and Odyssey. These are great platforms committed to free speech. But the best thing that you can do to stay apprised on what's going on in the party is to head over to our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. Sign up for our email list. Make a small donation if you can. They're tax deductible. Become a member. This is how you get engaged in the party, to participate in those AGMs we were talking about earlier, to get involved at the local level, to become a candidate or to support your candidate. It really starts at the local level. That's the best way we can get around the censorship of the mainstream media, to go directly to people's doors, to bring this message to our communities, friends, family, neighbors, the whole deal. So head over to the website, become a member, sign up for our email list.
Be part of the change, be a member. We need you, and I believe that our country needs us also.
Yeah. So many people in our party are completely new to politics. I'm sure you saw this a lot over the last 3 weeks. Even myself, before I got involved in the PPC, I've never been involved in party politics before. It starts at the local level. That's where I started as well. So get involved today. Send an email to us. Sign up for our email list. We'll keep you apprised on what's going on and how you can get involved. But with that said, let's head over to questions. Do we have anything ready yet? A Rumble question. I love seeing questions from Rumble. Our viewership has been going up on there quickly. Pierre Poiliev's voting record the last few years shows he supported the Liberal government on critical votes, and now he's saying he's the opposite. How do we expose this blatant hypocrite?
Yeah, but I can give you a lot of example about that. First, the bill on the conversion therapy. Pierre voted for that.
Mm.
Pierre said also that he does not want to reopen the debate on abortion. We are ready to reopen that debate. I think it's we need in Canada to have a legislation on abortion that
Mm.
we don't have. So we are welcoming pro-life people, and we're ready to reopen the debate. Pierre agree with his party about not balancing the budget at the last election. So you
But also, he voted in favor of giving the government unlimited spending power throughout the COVID pandemic.
and now
Twice.
and now he said it was okay, and no, it was not. And I can tell you that right now all these candidates, including Pierre Poiliev, they are speaking about freedom. They are speaking like conservative, but Pierre Poiliev, whoever will be the leader, will do the same thing that Andrew Scheer and O'Toole did, because as you know, there's more seat in the GTA than in all Alberta.
Hmm.
So, and we have socialists and leftists that are living in the big cities. That's a reality, and they want to have their support. Their goal is only to be in government and without any principle. So now Poliev and these candidates are speaking like conservative, but they will move to the left like O'Toole and Scheer did before. So they're only conservative in name, and they're only conservative during a leadership contest.
Yeah.
So
Campaign to the right during the leadership, campaign to the left during the general.
that's
How
it.
many times do we have to see this? I will give some props to Roman Baber, who has been consistent on the
Yeah,
freedom message throughout
absolutely. Yeah,
the pandemic.
he's the only one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens to him, though. Do we have some other questions? Another Rumble question. Okay, Mac, who's your favorite hockey team? Hashtag Go Flames Go. The Battle of Alberta. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, but I'm from Montreal. I like the Canadian, but as you know, I will always be with a Canadian team, and I hope that the Flames can.
They're facing the Oilers right now.
But I I had a lot of support in Calgary, so I think I'll be with you. Go for the Flames, but I hope that Canadian will do better next time. As you know, they will have the first choice at the next draft, so that will help. We'll have another team in Canada that will be more competitive. That's my goal. So go Flame. Yes.
Awesome. Do we have another question? I love all these Rumble questions coming in.
Oh.
Do you plan to meet with James Top when he comes to Ottawa?
Yes, Daniel. Actually, as you know, I'm a runner. I like to run. I'm training right now for a marathon, and I will walk with him. I don't know, but I want to do at least 40 kilometers with him. And that's your job to be sure that I'll do that. Put it in my agenda. But yes, and
our Western Canada Lieutenant Kelly Lorenz has already met with James a couple of times on his trek across the country. For those who don't know, James Top is he's a veteran who was penalized for violating the for standing up against the mandates, and in protest, he's currently walking across the country. He started out in Vancouver, I believe, out on the West Coast, and I believe he's just made it into Ontario recently. It's really an admirable thing what he's doing, and we're proud to stand with him. We're proud that Kelly went to go walk with him, and we'll be looking to arrange Max to do the same.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do we have some other questions? I believe James will be here around Canada Day, so that'll be something to look forward to.
And I'll be here also for Canada Day.
Absolutely. Oh, okay, Rumble is the place to go, everyone. We're prioritizing questions from Rumble. So if you want your question read, get over to Rumble, follow us over there now. The next question, Max, do you think there should be a People's Party at the provincial level? A question we get a lot. It seems like we need them. If you look at Ontario election, for example, there's so much division amongst Conservatives. For those unaware, there is an Ontario election going on right now. There's 2 weeks left in it, I believe. And the political system is a bit messy in Ontario right now. There's a couple of right-wing anti-establishment parties, namely the Ontario Party, the New Blue, and even the Populist Party of Ontario.
For us, Danielle, it's clear that we are not doing politics at the provincial level, and we won't. We will put all our resources to build this party like we did since the beginning, since 2018, and this party is growing. So we don't have time, we don't have the resources, and we are doing politics at the federal level. So for our partisans and our members, you'll be free to vote for anybody that you believe, anybody who you believe that will be good for your province. We don't want to impose to you any provincial political parties for this election in Ontario or another one that will happen in another province. We are doing politics at the federal level. That will be it, and that's it.
Yeah, there are some good options in Ontario. And I do wish we had the capacity to start people's parties in every province. It's not the reality right now. Maybe sometime in the distant future as we continue to grow.
You're too busy to build this party with me.
yeah, we're spread thin as it is. But maybe in the future. Do we have some other questions? Alex W on YouTube asks, "Hey Max, did you have lobster out east?"
Oh yes. In a very good one. I was in New Brunswick, and actually it was good. I like lobster, and with a nice glass of wine. So yes, I enjoyed my time over there.
I'm jealous. I haven't had a nice fresh lobster in a long time.
They will come near to you. The season is just starting. So
yeah. I just got to head out east. Consensus Reality on YouTube asks, "What's your position on crypto regulation?" Okay.
Oh.
Do you support Bill C-249 encouraging the growth of the Crypto Asset Sector Act?
First of all, I don't know that bill pretty well. What I just want to let you know is we will do our best here to be able to accept donations, crypto donation with Bitcoin, and I believe that Danielle, you're working on that, and we may have a policy on cryptocurrency. That's something that we are looking at. So stay tuned. And our goal is we don't like fiat money, and that's what we have in Canada. And our goal is to encourage competition. And as you know, I spoke for the gold standard in the past. I still believe that it would be a good alternative to a fiat money that we have right now. But also, let's be open to more competition.
Yeah. Exactly. We don't support fiat money. We don't support government regulation. That's for sure. I'm not familiar with that specific aspect.
And we don't support also the digital new currency that the Bank of Canada is working on right now. We don't want that. That will be a way to control what you're doing. The Bank of Canada and these bureaucrats will know everything. If we have a digital currency, we are 100% opposed to that. So I think that's important for you to know that.
Yeah, we will have some exciting announcements about cryptocurrency coming up this summer. So watch out for that, Consensus Reality. Another question from Rumble: "What's the most important aspect of decentralization?" Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, but you must go on our website, People's Party of Canada, and read a speech that I delivered on the radical decentralization. Yes, we believe that this constitution is great. We have to respect that constitution. If you do that in our country, you'll have a decentralization. Why it's important to have decentralization? Because when you have that, you have more competition, and also at the same time, the best government is always the government that is near the people. So municipal, provincial, and at the federal level, we must deal with only our own responsibilities and jurisdiction in the Constitution. Yes, for decentralization, more decentralization in this country. Go and read that speech on radical decentralization.
On that note, I do think it's a great place to wrap up tonight's live stream. Thanks everyone for your questions. If we didn't get to you tonight, show up at our next show. It's not next week, but the week after. Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. EST. We'll look to take as many questions as we can again next week. As we wrap things up, I do want to remind you to interact with this video in any way you can. A like, a share, or subscribe, a comment. Jump over to another platform. Follow us there, especially those free speech ones, Rumble, Odyssey. If you can drop us a follow there, that's how you can ensure that you'll follow our video content, even if we get hit by censorship on those mainstream platforms. I'm looking at you, YouTube. We just got let out of a community strike jail, actually, a few days ago. So if you can follow us on those free speech platforms, that would be great. But the best thing that you can do to get involved with the PPC, to stay apprised on what's going on in the PPC, is to head over to our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. Sign up for our email list, or better yet, become a member. It's $10 a year. It's even cheaper if you sign up for a longer membership. That gets you involved in the party, keeps you apprised on what's going on our general email list, as well as when Max will come to your area next. I'm sure a lot of people out east have been getting our emails the last few weeks for all those fun events that we've been doing. As well, when you're on our website, check out our platform, read our ideas. We have a lot of ideas on a lot of different topics, not just slogans and buzzwords, specific concrete ideas on what we would do in government to make this country a better place. Do you have anything to say to our viewers before we wrap up?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. And if you want to reach us, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, but also you can email to us at info@peoplespartyofcanada.ca. It can take 3 days before we answer your email, because the good news is we are receiving a lot of emails, so that's great. And we try to stay in touch with you. Thank you very much. Stay strong and free, and see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I'm Daniel Tyree. He's Maxime Bernier. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.